In this video, I want to share my views of Solasta, Crown of the Magister, and my first impressions. Solasta, Crown of the Magister has been licensed by Wizards of the Coast for the Dungeons & Dragons 5e rule set. The system requirements are easy to meet, and the studio, Tactical Adventures, has done a great job translating the tabletop rules into a game that I'll be able to play for a very long time. Solasta has been in early access for a few weeks now, and with a still unknown release date, I have been playing it for quite a few hours now and still exploring just the introductory parts of the game. Tactical Adventures, who makes the game, is a small, agile studio of about 15 to 20 people whose goal they feel is to bring tabletop gaming to the video screen with a faithful adoption of rules and universes. I guarantee you that when you're crawling your dungeon with your rogue, when you zoom in all the way, you get an amazing display of the beautiful up-close terrain detail. It's really awesome. So this makes this the only other 5e content out right now for Dungeons & Dragons. There's also the early access release of Baldur's Gate 3, which we have previously reviewed, and you can also use the links above in the corner to check those out later. The way that things look set up in Solasta, it looks really great for future campaigns to be added in as either DLC or maybe even user created, which is hopeful. I'd love that. Your characters that you create, they sit in a general pool, and they're not attached to the game you play until you select them and then start the campaign. I use the heck out of the character generator tool that they have, and I'll tell you what, it is very faithful to 5.0 tabletop. You can level up characters up through level 20. The current campaign requires level 1 to start, though, so you're only going to be able to use level 1. The later builds after about level 6, that doesn't feel like they've been fully fleshed out yet, though, especially with spells and abilities, and feats are still kind of, they're there, but I'm not sure how they're going to play out. Feats should work really well later down the road. Cinematics in Solasta are from a smaller studio, so it looks a little bit dated sometimes in the cutscenes, but I actually prefer substance and gameplay over cosmetics myself. Since this is still in early access, the expectation I have is that some more appearance options should be added in the future, and appearance is a bit average right now. You're still stuck with like maybe 3 or 4 to 5 faces and hairstyles, lots of colors though. I really don't think that's important as much as the gameplay, though. The gameplay is awesome. Race selection's great. We get sub-races, and most of the expected races are represented. There are some subtle differences, like the naming convention for some of the race subclasses are fine. They're different, but it's their own universe, and I want to respect that, because plenty of us Dungeon Masters make our own homebrew campaign settings, and this is just one more interpretation of that. Regardless, it's going to be very fun to make different combinations down the road with the different stat bumps that races and subclass or sub-races are going to be getting. Classes now we're limited to 6, and we get the archetype, subclass, and paths for each of those classes, which makes it really nice. I mean, we've got the dual-wield fighter, for example, or defense or archer fighter. For wizard, we get our lore master. We also get our evoker. And we even get something looking similar to an arcane archer if we really want. It is a slight different direction than what I would expect for a true to form 5.0, but it is trending in the right direction for sure. We've done walkthroughs on all the classes, so if you want, click the card up above. It'll send you off to our playlist of Solasta classes, and you can check all those out with the detailed tutorials. Another one of the awesome things that I really liked about Solasta was you get to build your whole party of 4 right at the beginning. The extremely robust character creation is just like 5.0, and it's one of the best things about Dungeons & Dragons. Every time I go to make a character, I am consistently making these very difficult decisions about what I want to play, what is my build, what class. It is so difficult in 5.0 to make a choice. And this has kind of come over into this edition of Dungeons & Dragons also with the character creation in Solasta. It really follows the pen and paper game. There's a lot of setup for the character creation. And one of the absolute biggest differences in character creation that I'm thrilled with is Tactical Adventures sticking with the ability to roll dice for stats I can't tell you how much I miss that in Baldur's Gate 3, and I'm so glad it is in Solasta, Crown of the Magister. It makes me super happy. The stat rolling is just amazing, and it harkens back to the days of the old SSI silver box and gold box Dungeons and Dragon games. I love it. Any of you other Dungeons and Dragons boomers like me are going to appreciate this, and it's really going to hit home with how close to like something like Pools of Radiance it is. The ability to cherry pick the best stats for your class and race combo is extremely important for me, and this one feature made me a loyal fan at the beginning. And hey, you can even get your stats up to 20 right off the bat with that 16 or 18 that you roll. The +2 dex from a rogue, for an elf rogue, you got a 20 right off the bat. You don't have to worry about that stat ever, and it's amazing, and it has a very significant impact in the game. Solasta, Crown of the Magister, heavily involves rules from 5.0 for the gameplay, and it feels like it's going to be the game of choice for my fellow Dungeons & Dragons tabletop players. I think a lot of new players are getting introduced to Dungeons & Dragons right now via Baldur's Gate 3, and that has more of a mass market appeal to it, and I fully expect them wanting more, and they're going to just devour Solasta as the next game that they play. Solasta is able to be picked up and played by new players as well. The tutorial screens and the walkthroughs are a valuable source of training for the mechanics that you need to play. Whether or not you're a seasoned tabletop 5.0 player or brand new, Solasta really can handle your style of play. I want to take a second to go over some of the tactics involved in some of the combat especially. They do have the need for light. If something is in dim light, then you are going to be at a disadvantage to hit it. This is a little bit different from 5.0. I'm hoping they kind of change it to where it's more akin to 5.0, but we'll roll with it for now because you have the ability to have a torch or dark vision or even light. It does make it important to have light in the game unless you are able to see completely in the dark, and it does make sense that things in dim light are harder to hit. Combat is pretty seriously close to the 5.0 tabletop rules as well. One major note of difference between this and Baldur's Gate 3 is that shoving is not a bonus action. It isn't in tabletop, and it's not in Solasta. It's an actual action, so you have to determine whether or not you're going to shove somebody or you're going to attack somebody. That's a big difference, and I like that. You're also limited to swapping weapons just one time per turn, and that is normal just like 5.0, where you can drop a weapon and pull another weapon. In 5.0, you can't continually swap back and forth. It's just not a thing. It doesn't make sense because then you could always have your shield equipped for an extra 2 AC when you're done with your turn, and that's not really anything but prone to abuse. Like I said before, lighting is a huge point of contention in the game. You really need a way to have light, and I would suggest like your wizard at least have the cantrip light. That's super important. Another big difference in combat between the two games is that arrows are a finite resource. You'll need to carry ammunition for your bow, your sling, your crossbow. It's just one more immersion detail that I really enjoy having in the game. Resting in the game is handled completely different. It is very similar to 5.0. In fact, it's true to 5.0 because you either need to set up a camp and have a place to actually sleep, like a bedroll, or you need to find a campsite or an inn. And there are inns in the game. They do charge an amount of gold for sleep. This allows you to change your spells or level up when resting during those long rests. You can also only long rest once per day, just like tabletop. So there's no unlimited resting. You do have a time that goes by. I really enjoy how traveling on the world map is handled. You just get this overview of the world, and your icon is kind of doing the Indiana Jones thing. But the awesome part is that you see what's happening with your party as the day goes on. You see them foraging, they're talking with each other, having political discussions, and then they settle in for the day. The ability for them to forage makes it to where the food they consume, they have enough. Now you can select a fast mode of travel, but you're going to blow right past those secrets and you're not going to see anything. Plus, you can actually get snuck up on or ambushed by bandits a little bit more, and the opportunity to be ambushed is just much higher. Now, if you travel slow, you do get these bonuses to see things around you. You're going to collect more as you're foraging. You're not going to get ambushed very often, if at all, but again, it does take you longer to get to that destination. I like that as a player, I have the option to decide if I'm going to travel fast or travel slow or travel at a normal speed. So I think that's going to wrap it up for our first impression of Solasta, Crown of the Magister. The takeaway is that it's a really faithful interpretation of 5.0 tabletop. If you want, I really would click the link below. Check it out on Steam. It's still in early access. I'm not sure when it's going to be released for the full release, but this is one I'm definitely going to be spending a lot of time on it. I love D&D. I'm a huge D&D nerd, and if you are too, this is going to hook you. So if you made it this far in the video, please subscribe. We'd love to have you on the team. It's really important for us fellow gamers to stick together and grow a community. I'm excited for this community to grow and have the ability to play games with you guys. Thanks so much. Subscribe, like, follow, all that good stuff. We'll see you the next time around. Bye-bye.